All right, let's transition to the main slate for week 11. And who do you like for stacks?
So I love the Daniel Jones, Darius Slayton stack here against the Lions. Obviously, this is just an easy matchup all around for the Giants. Guessing Saquon Barkley will be popular once again here, as he should be. But, Darius Slayton really raises Daniel Jones' ceiling. He has a 13.2 ADOT, 17.2 yards per reception. This could be a game where he absolutely goes off against the Lions. He doesn't need that many catches to post a big line. So I think this is a really sneaky stack this week. I don't know if the public has really caught on to how good Slayton has been, but love that stack. And then also have to go with Dak Prescott, Dalton Schultz against the Vikings this week. Patrick Peterson has been playing out of his mind, so he could slow down CeeDee Lamb just enough here. And Schultz looks like he's completely over his PCL injury. He had his first game of more than 70% routes run since week 4 last week. And he cashed in with a nice line. So he typically feasts against zone defense. And, the Vikings have played zone at the second highest rate this season. So I think this is a spot to get like a nice sneaky contrarian stack with Dak Prescott and Dalton Schultz.
Yeah, you love yourself some Schultz this week.
Oh, I'm
love
waiting. Myself
are you going to be on his over whatever it's going to be, like 38?
Well, we'll have to see what it is. Oh, I would love it at 38 and a half. But yeah, we'll have to see what the line is. But I think I will be on the over.
I have a few stacks. I'll start with Justin Fields, Darnell Mooney. I think Justin Fields is going to be popular, as he should be, but I think there's a great matchup for Mooney. You always want to target the Falcons with the slot receivers, and Mooney's ran a route at the slot 60% of the time this year. So even though he's a number one receiver, he goes inside quite a bit. That's where you get to see Isaiah Oliver, D. Alford. Both of those guys have not been playing well. Those are the guys that opponents have been targeting. And Atlanta's also, they're 9th best in explosive run rate allowed, but 23rd in explosive pass rate. So, Fields might actually, he's in a good spot to get a couple of big pass plays. He's going to get his numbers on the ground regardless, but he might have the help of one of his receivers. And we talked about this off air. After Mooney, he's running a route. He's on the field pretty much every snap. All the other guys are just kind of rotating in and out, whether it's St. Brown or Claypool or Pettis. So I think Mooney is the guy, outside of Cole Kmet, who probably will be a little more popular because he's got this newfound love for the end zone. But I want a guy like Mooney, who I think is a better bet for an explosive play, because that's what you really want with the correlation. You want an explosive play. You obviously want a touchdown, but you want an explosive touchdown. I think Mooney, look what Laviska Shenault did to that Falcons defense on Thursday night. So love me some Fields Mooney. It's pretty affordable because Mooney is not too expensive. Then I also like Brian Robinson stacked with the Commanders defense in this spot. You have the Commanders going on the road, but they are a favorite. And this Texans defense has just been awful. So I think you're going to see another high volume run game from the Commanders. And this Washington offense, it's been a struggle with Davis Mills. Washington gets a ton of pressure. They're top 6 in pressure rate. Chase Young is due back. So I think Washington could get in the backfield. I think they could also shut down the run a little bit, force the Texans into some 3rd and longs, because they are number 2 in run defense DVOA. So Pierce, he'll get his, but I think it's going to be a little tougher than it has been these last few games for the Texans to stay ahead of the chains, which could create havoc. And then with a positive game script, I think you could see Robinson eclipse 20 carries. So like that one. And but I also like Heineke McLaurin in the same game, because I think, this Texas defense I mentioned, they're 32nd dead last in explosive runs and explosive pass plays allowed. So, I think one way or another, somebody on this Washington offense is going to have a good game. And the Houston Texan defense, 31st in DVOA against opposing number 1 wide receivers. So McLaurin's just been lights out, even against like the best opposing cornerbacks. I mean, Jair, Slay, who else was it? It was somebody, Gilmore. Like, he's just everybody. It doesn't matter for Terry. So I like both ends of the Washington offense in this one. And then Jalen Hurts, Devontae Smith. Devontae Smith, anytime you play a zone heavy defense, he actually has 2.1 yards per route versus zone, 1.5 AJ Brown. And this Colts defense plays zone at a top 5 rate. That's just what they do. So like Hurts and Smith, who's not too priced up because they played Monday and the pricing had already come out. And so he's not getting that price up for Goddard being out. And one more I'll mention is Kenny Pickett, George Pickens. Always like to invest in these rookies. And this could be a game where the Steelers get behind. The Bengals are coming off their bye, and Pickett already has a 38 attempt game, a 44 attempt game, and a 52 attempt game. And now you're talking about Claypool out of the picture. So I think Pickens could be a guy. He's the most explosive guy. Pickett's been looking for him a little bit more than Deontay against these coverages these last few weeks. So I like Pickens, and it's a pretty cheap one that you could just get some game script where Pickett's throwing 40 times. So like that one as well.
Yeah, I absolutely love the Brian Robinson Commanders stack, and especially Hurt Smith. Definitely have to use those in our lineup builds on DK and FanDuel for sure.
Yes, sir. Okay, what about dart throws? Who do you like?
So I like Nico Collins. He's 4,100. He faces a Commanders defense that's more of a pass funnel one, and he returned to an 80% routes run rate. See no reason to think that he can't go over like 90% this week. And Brandon Cooks only saw a 60% routes run rate. He went to the locker room. I don't know if it's his wrist injury. He's frustrated. I don't know. But either way, Collins very well could be Davis Mills' top target the rest of the season. And Washington has been pretty vulnerable to deep passes. So there's a chance, Collins gets a deep pass, potentially a touchdown here. So love Nico right in that 4K range. And then Laviska Shenault, he's 3,700. They face the Ravens this week. And he has seen a ridiculous 46% target per route run rate this year. That's like not even close to being sustainable, but it just goes to show if he gets playing time, he could be sneaky. So last week he saw a 53% routes run rate. And, he cashed in with a solid 2-catch, 42-yard, 1 touchdown game rushing and 3 catches, 17 yards receiving. And it just makes me think, he's sort of occupying that vacancy left behind by Christian McCaffrey. He's sort of a hybrid running back wide receiver. So I think that's kind of been his path to hitting value. And he's way too cheap at 3,700. This should be a negative game script all the way. So I think we could see him, his usage go up even more here. So love Shenault. And then have to go with Jack Stoll here against the Colts. He's 2,500. He will most likely be replacing Dallas Goedert. I think Grant Calcaterra could mix in as well. But Stoll, he's clearly been the strict backup to Goddard. So he's seen a 20% target rate on his routes past 2 games. Unlikely to maintain that. But, the Eagles do like to lean on tight end. So he could be sneaky at min price, especially against a zone-heavy defense like the Colts. So I do like Stoll as a dart throw this week.
Yeah, I wonder if they activate Tyree Jackson. I think his window
is he back?
Closed this week. Well, they started his window a couple weeks ago. So I think this is the last week they have to activate him. So I'll be watching for that as well. But yeah, either way, Stoll should be the starting tight end for this week at least. So that's a good call. I will go with I like the Shenault call because I think when you look at the matchups for the Panthers wide receivers, Marcus Peters, Marlon Humphrey, 2 of the better corners in the game. And the thing about Humphrey is he can go inside and follow DJ Moore if they so choose. So the Ravens have been very good at limiting opposing top wide receivers. They are number 5 in DVOA against number 1 receivers and number 8 in DVOA against number 2 receivers. So I think that kind of opens it up for Shenault, who's going to be a little bit more of a gadget guy. They're not going to have Peters or Humphrey assigned to him by default, because he's not going to be in every snap. So I think that they could get some matchups there. And that's what they were doing in that last game. I mean, they were just kind of running him motion, jet sweep jet motion out of the backfield and just throwing him easy passes and letting him go to work. So I really like that one. All right. So I have quite a few. I'll start with Olamide Zaccheaus. Like him in this matchup against Chicago. I think he's going to match up with Kyler Gordon in the slot a lot. And that is the best matchup for on the Bears that you want to target. He's allowing a reception every 6.5 coverage snaps, and he's allowing 1.8 yards per coverage snap compared to Vildor's at 11.5 snaps per reception and 1 yard per snap, and Jalen Johnson 12.6 and 1.2 yards per snap. So really like that matchup for Zaccheaus here. I have him almost inside my top 50 this week. Wow. I think he's in a good spot. Probably be the guy to pop over like Drake London and Kyle Pitts because that's the Falcons. But
of course.
And then the two Rams receivers, Ben Skowronek and Van Jefferson, they're true dart throws, but there's a huge target share opened up with Cooper Kupp. Skowronek ran a route on 98% of the dropbacks last week. If you add Jefferson and Kupp together, they were at 95%. So it's possible that Robinson, Jefferson, and Skowronek just kind of do what the top three were doing before, and they all are in that 90% range. So I think either one of these guys could pop in this matchup here. And there's just a lot, because remember too, Tyler Higbee going against the Saints defense, he should see a boost, but it's kind of the same thing as Freiermuth last week. It's like, how much are you really going to produce against the Saints defense with these linebackers and these safeties that are just able to blanket tight ends? I don't know if that's going to be a major source of production. And his routes have been trending downward anyway. So I don't know if they're going to get a ton out of Higbee in this particular matchup, which makes it better for Skowronek and Jefferson. And Allen Robinson has the toughest matchup because he probably goes against Alontae Taylor. He winds up on the left more often than not, and that's where Taylor's the right corner. So Taylor's been really good at limiting opponents' production. So I think Robinson, even though people are going to kind of look at him as like the new number one, I think this is a tough matchup for him as well. Paris Campbell, I think when you look at the Eagles, what do? Out perimeter corners, excellent. In the slot, a little bit more vulnerable. Paris Campbell, Matt Ryan's been targeting him a lot more than Ellinger did. The last 3 games with Ryan, he has at least 7 catches and a touchdown in each game. So I'm continue to ride the wave with Paris Campbell until the wheels fall off in another good matchup. And then a couple of running backs I think we should get ahead of here. One is Kyren Williams. I think, over the long term, the Rams are just searching for anything in that backfield. And again, they're having O-line issues, but Williams can catch the ball, and he kind of came on late and got a few catches. So you could hope for kind of the same thing, maybe a bad game script. But there's also a chance he's just involved a lot earlier in the game plan because they're just grasping up straws for any type of offense they could get. So I think Williams in an unpredictable backfield is interesting. And then Jaylen Warren, Najee Harris, you talked on the other part on how you're low on Najee. And I think Jaylen Warren is going to see a lot more carries going forward and some catches as well. And, he kind of was a lot more involved in the last game than you might think because Najee got 20 carries, but the Steelers had 43 carries. So Najee didn't even get, half of the carries in that game. So I think Warren is a guy that's going to continue to see his role increase. And then 2 tight end dart throws in the Giants game. One is Brock Wright for the Lions. He's been running the most routes and he does really well against man coverage, and the Giants play more man than pretty much anyone in the league. So Wright popped for a couple of decent games last year. He had a 51-yard game with a touchdown last year, and he had a touchdown in last week as well. So I think he could surprise, especially if the Lions get down and Goff just needs to dump it off a few times. He could actually win against some linebackers. And then on the other side, Lawrence Cager he kind of drew even with Tanner Hudson, and he's a former wide receiver, so kind of like that Darren Waller mold. So I think the Giants have shown that they're willing to kind of like the playing time fluctuates from week to week. So 1 week it could be Hudson at like 80%, and the next week it could be Cager. So the fact that they got him more involved coming off the bye, I think he might be trending up, and I like the athleticism. He got in the end zone last week as well. So, and this Lions team has been pretty bad against tight ends. So, like both of the tight ends in that game, because I think a lot of people are going to be looking, to the more obvious guys, and these guys you could like add them onto a stack, or you could use them as leverage. So, like Wright and Cager as well.
Yeah, I love the Kyren Williams call, and he's a guy that should benefit. Just not only the Rams backfield has been kind of a disaster this year, but their season's circling down the drain right now, so that they'll probably want to see what the rookie can do. And he got eased in last week because he's been out for so long, but he's a great pass catching back. He definitely has the chops to be a workhorse back. So you want to get these guys before they have their breakout games, similar to what I was saying with Rachaad White. At any given time, he could leapfrog Leonard Fournette, and that's what happened sort of out of the blue last week. So he is definitely worth a dart throw this week.
Yeah, and I kind of look at Sean McVay and try to read, okay, what's his philosophy with these kind of things. And last season, Cam Akers comes back in week 17 and he gets 8 touches in that first game. So kind of, 5 carries, 3 catches, kind of similar to Kyron Williams, played about, 20% of the snaps. The next week, 8 days later, he gets 18 touches and plays over
what,
half
20
yeah,
for
like
25 yards?
Yeah, it was 55, but yeah.
Oh, okay.
Oh no, and the 1 catch for 40. So yeah, he had a bunch of yards in that one. But yeah, the point is, they ramped him up pretty significantly in an 8-day period. And now you're kind of seeing the same thing with Kyron Williams, where he came back last week, got his feet wet, got a few snaps, got a few touches. And now this week, we might see it flip. I mean, they've been they haven't wanted to play Cam Akers, obviously. They've obviously been looking for a way to not play Henderson as much either, because that's why Akers was even playing in the first place, even though he was in a doghouse. So I think Williams could easily lead the backfield this week. So do like him. All right, let's build some lineups. Let's start with DK. Yeah, let's go with Robinson, because I think he'll be less popular, and he does have a shot at that 100-yard bonus.
Oh, true. Yeah.
In this spot. This is one of those spots. He hasn't had a 100-yard game yet, but did get 26 carries against Philly. So if he gets 26 carries against Houston,
you would assume his efficiency would go up this week. Hopefully. If not, then that's a concern. Okay, cool. I like that start. I'm gonna go with Devonta Smith, 6,200.
All right. I'll get the defense out of the way and just stack Robinson with the Commanders. Yes. So 3,100 for that. So we have an average of 5,900 for quarterback, running back, 2 wide receivers, tight end, flex.
I'm just gonna jam in Dalton Schultz now, and you're gonna have to deal with that. Might as well get it over with.
All right. Let's go with my boy Jonathan Taylor, 7,800.
Nice.
So we got 5,825 quarterback, 2 wide receiver, flex.
So we have to figure out which stacker. Do we take Jalen Hurts? Do we have enough cash for that? If we use Jalen Hurts, we would have about 5,100.
Yeah, I think it's enough.
If there's anybody that can figure out, it's us. So let's do that.
All right. Yeah, so we got the reverse game script here with Taylor and then Hurts and Smith as the.
Oh.
Yeah.
Yeah, so no, that actually works.
Like the contrarian.
Yeah.
Colts leading in the game. All right. Let's see. Let's find a cheap wide receiver. Let's go with Slayton at 5K.
Oh, nice. I was thinking of potentially going like a Nico Collins or even Laviska Shenault.
I like Nico because it kind of goes like, Commanders defense and Robinson. Nico would be like the comeback game script.
Yeah. Totally cool with that. So now we'll give you 6K. So yeah, let's go that route. Gives you plenty of options for the flex.
All right, Nico at 4,100. Yeah, let's do that. Let's go with Devin Singletary, 5,800 against that Browns D in what's hopefully some weather.
Hopefully.
All right, so that's our lineup for DK. We got Jalen Hurts, 8,200 at quarterback against the Colts. Our running backs are Brian Robinson Jr. at 5,300 at Houston, Jonathan Taylor, 7,800 at home against Philly, and Devin Singletary at running back in the flex at 5,800 against the Cleveland Browns at home. Then at wide receiver, Devonta Smith stacked with Hurts at 6,200, Darius Slayton at 5K, Nico Collins at 4,100, the tight ends Dalton Schultz at 4,300 at Minnesota, and we got the Commanders D stacked with Robinson Jr., 3,100 at Houston. So we got 200 left on the table. Always like that.
Yep. That's a good team. There's a lot of guys with a ton of upside, and we'll probably kind of overlook this week. Yeah,
and get some good correlations too.
Yep.
All right. You go first on FanDuel.
All right. So let's see. QB pricing is a little bit different. I'm going to go with, I wanted Singletary for FanDuel, but all right, I'm going to start off with a bang. I'm going with Alvin Kamara at 7,500 against the Rams. That's just way too cheap.
Yeah, he'll probably be able to overlook because it just had coming off a pretty bad game.
Yeah.
Ooh, I'll go with my boy Pat Fryer, moves down at 5,400 against the Bengals.
Nice.
So we got 67.29 for running back.
All right, I'll get the defense out of the way here. Let's go with the Saints. Correlate with Kamara against the Rams.
Yeah, they're having more offensive line injuries. I think
Yeah.
Jackson's out for the year, and now Brewer too, I think, is out. So it's just they cannot catch a break.
And looks like Kamara's receiving usage tends to go up when they have the lead, which is kind of backwards. But last game they won was against the Raiders. He had 9 catches for 96 yards and 2 grabs. So just he's going to go ham here.
All right. Let's see. So we need a receiver.
And a quarterback.
Yeah, right.
God, Russ is cheap.
Yeah, 6,900. Dak is pretty cheap too, 7,500.
Yeah, wow.
Yeah, I'll go Dak. Let's go
That's
Dak here against
surprising.
this Minnesota defense.
You blocked my Schultz.
Oh yeah.
I mean, we can go like
CD Lamb's fine. CD Lamb should have a good game.
I mean, he'll probably see a lot of Peterson, who's been playing good, but I mean, Lamb's been playing out of his mind too.
Yeah, he runs a pretty good amount of routes in the slot.
He could avoid him exactly. So yeah, let's go with Lamb here. Yeah, like Noah Brown's been kind of phased out. Gallup's been shaky, so I think Lamb and Schultz are gonna have big games here.
Yeah, I think we both have Lamb in like the top 3. So
yeah, no, I'm just saying I'm super high on Schultz as well, but I think it's more of a top heavy offense than I expected the past couple of games. Because like I said, I think Noah Brown only had like 1 catch last week, so yeah. So I like both these guys.
All right. Let's go David Montgomery. Get some leverage.
I was just gonna say that.
Leverage here at 6,200 with Herbert out. That would be some leverage on the Fields, and we have Fields, Mooney, and we don't have Fields in the other arm. But either way,
no.
I think he's going to be very popular. So going with his running back, and he only has a couple 2 touchdowns this year. So that could easily kind of revert to the mean, and he could swing his way. So let's go with him at very good price, 6,200 against that Falcon D that got torched by Foreman in that last game.
Yeah, I just saw that. I was like, oh man, he looks pretty cheap. And then I realized I haven't even factored in Herbert being out.
Yeah.
So he's going to be even better. Probably a little chalky, but who knows? But yeah, he's way too cheap on FanDuel. So let's see. So we got to go receiver here. God, we got to use Devonta Smith again here.
Okay.
I don't care if we do a double dip. He's only 6,400. Again, probably just they haven't been able to adjust for Goddard being out, but it was a good matchup anyway. So yeah, got to go Smith here.
Let's go with my boy Adam Thielen, 5,900, 6K, 6K
standard.
Yeah, because we got Dak and Lamb, so get a little running back action.
He had a bad game last week, right?
5 for 49. So he's right on his averages. It's just he didn't get a touchdown. That's
Justin Jefferson just went ape shit. So yeah. I always love Thielen under the radar.
He's had at least 7 targets in every game? Every game since week 2. So he's kind of pretty high floor. So hopefully he breaks through. I do like the matchup though, because Dallas is another team that plays a ton of zone, and Thielen's been a lot better versus zone, and Osborne's been the guy that they go to more against man coverage. So should be a good spot for him. Really just need that some touchdown luck. But that leaves you 8,800.
Okay.
Flex.
So running back. Oh, Jonathan Taylor.
You can do it. 87.
Yeah. Again, sort of correlates, I guess, with the Devontae. Yeah, let's go with that. I don't care if we double dip twice on these guys. I like the correlation there.
All right. So we got Dak Prescott, 7,500 at Minnesota. Running back Alvin Kamara, 7,500 at home against the Rams, and David Montgomery at 6,200 at the Falcons. Taylor in the flex at 8,700 at home against Philly. Our wide receivers are CeeDee Lamb stacked with Dak, 8,100 at Minnesota. Devonta Smith, 6,400 at Indy, and Adam Thielen at 6K against the Cowboys. Freiermuth is a tight end at 5,400. And we got the Saints D stacked with Kamara, 4,100 against the Rams.
Love it.
All right. So that is going to do it for our week 11 fantasy. Let me say it again. 3, 2, 1. That is going to do it for our week 11 fantasy flex fantasy preview podcast. If you want to hear us talk more player projections, be sure to check out our player projections episode out right now over on the Action Network podcast channel. And every Friday this season, Sean and I will have our night shift episode where we break down the Sunday night and Monday night football DFS slates, which is right here on this channel. So be sure to check that out as well. ActionNetwork.com for all of our up-to-date fantasy football rankings for the week and projections, NFL betting and fantasy content. FantasyLabs.com for our DFS tools and models. You can find Sean on Twitter at @the_oddsmaker. You can find me at Chris Raybon. You can find us at those same handles on the free award-winning. And you can find us at those same handles on the free award-winning Action Network app. Until next time, let's get this shmoney.